Hey Dan, we're live. Hey, long time no see. Congrats. You told me you got a new job, so I'm kind of curious to hear about that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for taking a little time out of your day to answer these questions.
That's all right. I'm on
Uh,
lunch. I got plenty of time.
awesome, awesome. So let's start with, if you don't mind, introducing yourself. And as part of that introduction, who do you work for and what's your job title?
Yeah, so my name is Daniel Bortz, alumni of Ranken Tech. I currently work for Laclede Chain Management in the manufacturing industry, and my official title is Application and Reports Developer.
App and reports developer.
You betcha.
When did you graduate?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it was 2012, if I'm not
2012.
mistaken. I think so,
Nice. So
December.
you've been gone for almost 10 years.
It's been a good 10 years.
Nice. And what? So you're an apps and report developer. So what language or languages?
Yeah. Do I use or do I know? Because those are two different things.
Great, great. Let's go. Let's answer both. What do you use on a day to day for your job? And then what do you know?
Okay, so on a day-to-day basis, C Sharp is basically what we use to program. We do a lot of Visual Studio work and using C Sharp in Visual Studio, and also doing back-end SQL database work as well.
Okay.
So those are the two, SQL Server and C Sharp are the two main languages that I use at work every day. Now what do I know from college and with my arsenal? It's HTML, CSS. We talked about HTML5 and Bootstrap, Java, a lot of SQL. I've been doing a lot of SQL. SQL for about 10 years. C Sharp for about 2.5, maybe 3 years.
Awesome.
And then also learning some Python on the back end.
Hey, I'm just gonna hit pause on this, and I'm gonna refocus this to your awesome posters that you got going on in the background. Do you mind kind of showing the crowd how awesome these posters are, and what? I mean, I don't know about you, but I grew up on these movies. At least those two.
Yeah, these little guys here. Well, one of my favorites, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #2, totally rocks its world.
Super Shredder, right? I mean, that's
Oh, the secret of the ooze.
you
It was
got.
way
Hold
better.
on, hold on. Can you remember the villains? Hold on. There's Tom. Tom was it not Tom? Tom.
No.
Basher. I don't. Hold on. Thrasher. Hold on.
I've got it for you if you want it. And do you want it or do you want to try to figure it out?
I'm so disappointed in myself that I can't remember these villains.
All right, you're talking about in the movie, right? Not the
Yeah.
ones in the cartoon.
No, no.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay.
Rasher. Go ahead.
You're close.
Thrasher,
It's Tokar
Tokar, and
and Razor.
man, I'm disappointed in my memory. Okay,
I'm a little disappointed as well, but that's okay. We can get past it.
we can get past it. And then was it Rufio? Rufio?
Rufio, yeah, Hook, one of Robin Williams' greater films.
Yep.
Amazing. Him and Dustin Hoffman just killed it with that movie.
And then give yourself a plug real quick. What's the middle poster?
Middle poster is the podcast. Yes, me and a couple buddies do a top 5 podcast where we list a top 5 list every episode. Top 5 cheeseburgers, top 5 St. Louis chicken sandwiches. Yeah, so we started that during the pandemic because we couldn't hang out. So we wanted to hang out virtually, so we created a podcast. Why not?
Awesome. Well, I subscribe. I listen to it. It's entertaining. I enjoy it. So
Yes.
awesome. So back on topic.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
what's a day in the life of Dan Bortz like?
Yeah, so I was primarily hired on. So I got laid off my previous job due to COVID, and as Laclede Chain Management, I reached out to them, and they were really in need of. It's a smaller company, family owned. There's probably about 500 people in the company, but they're kind of spread out. So I'm in the home office in Fenton, Missouri. It's probably 20 people in the office, I would say. So basically, they wanted me in for SQL, my SQL background, because I've got about 10 years of SQL Server, and then also SSRS reporting, which I also did for about 10 years as well. So that's what I came in primarily to do. And they're like, oh, C# as well? Great, because that's all we have on all of our programs. So most of their programs are coded in C#. So I came in, started leaning. I learned C# a little bit before this job, but then when I got here, it was kind of full full throttle. So we started doing that. So it's basically Visual Studios coding from the ground up, and then also modifying programs that are already going. And then it's also talking to people who want reports from the data that we have in our databases, and then creating the SQL Server or the SQL for it in SQL Server, and then porting it over to SSRS, building out a report.
So you got 8 hours per day on average. How much time's in meetings versus how much time spent in code?
So the culture at Laclede Chain is actually it's really cool. So we start off every day with a morning meeting. It's about 20 minutes. The whole company gets on the call, and it's kind of just, hey, here's the day. Here's what we have going. Here are the numbers for this week. We're trying to get the numbers up, and then kind of just a company overview, if you will. Try to get everybody on the same page as to what's going on. So the culture is really family oriented, and everybody kind of feels like a family there. So you go there, you get the meeting in the morning, and then right after that, it's basically coding all day. I mean, you stop for lunch, but I've got a list of projects that I got to work on, and there's no micromanagement. It's my boss's, here are your projects, get them done. When they're done, here's more projects. So it's really cool, and they're really lenient too.
Nice. And so you're obviously working from home. Were you working home before COVID or only since COVID? And what's the future look like?
I started working. So right when COVID hit, I started working from home at my last job. And then, like I said, got laid off from there. And then I went into the office for 1 week at this job. And it's basically just so my boss could lay out what they do. Let me give you an overview of all of our databases, all of our systems, how they all work. And then after that week, he's like, here's all your equipment, which was a 3-monitor setup with a laptop. And the laptop they gave me is great. It's got an i9 in it. This thing cruises.
Nice. So is it possible to kind of pan on your work environment here? We can see your desk, or is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that easy? Is it easy to do?
It's not too bad. There's Evan.
Yeah.
There's also got a 4th laptop there, but 3 screens.
Nice. 3 big screens.
3 screens, and then my laptop is actually covered up, and that's my son and my nephew right there.
Look at you all grown up with a kid now too. Me too. How old's your little one?
He will be 3 in January, and we got 1 on the way as well. So.
Well, hey, congrats.
Yeah,
Mine's.
yeah.
I got a 1.5-year-old. So.
I saw that.
Year and a half behind you, man. What a world's been, huh?
Yeah. Wait for 2.5. They are just a handful.
Yeah, I'm not looking at like potty training and all that.
We're in the midst of it. We're in the depths.
So it's work from home. It's writing code all day. Couple meetings.
Yeah.
Right on. So next question would be, so you're talking to brand new IT students, and so what would your tips be to help them land their first job out of school?
I think it could be different for everybody. What worked for me was first going to Ranken, because I really wasn't into going to the big university or any community colleges. I tried it. I said, this sucks. I'm out. So then that's when I signed up for Ranken. So I think getting into Ranken was the best foot forward for me. The second one was actually not taking a programming job. Straight out of college, I went to do tech support, and I think that's actually a pretty good idea because you get your foot in the door, because everybody always wants experience, and they want some sort of IT related job that you had.
Yeah.
So I went support, and I think support's actually nice because you're going to have to deal with support in the programming world anyway. You've got requests that come in, you've got people that you have to talk to figure out what they want from their code. If you're on the front side, so I kind of do both. I do back end, where I don't really have to deal with anybody, but then I also do front end coding too. So it helped me to actually get a job that wasn't in programming, and then once I had that job, you kind of just build your arsenal from there, and then you can start getting your foot in the door with, hey, I have this job, I want to try to transition to programming. I have the programming background, I've got the education for it, and it seemed to help me a lot more going that route.
Yeah, and I would agree from the sense of you want to take stepping stones.
Yeah.
And anytime you can inch towards your goal, it might be a good step to take.
I think so, and from my experience, it was also there weren't a lot of programming jobs that I wanted to take at the time.
Yeah.
And some of them, like I said, they wanted like 2-3 years experience. Well, I was fresh out of college and I didn't have it.
Yeah.
So it was more getting your foot in the door.
Yeah. Awesome. Once they get your foot in the door, what tips would you give to have a successful career?
Don't slack off. That's huge.
Yeah.
You've got to, especially working from home. I think I think the day in the life has changed because when you're in the office, you're in the office, and there's basically all eyes around you when you're in the office. But when you're at home, you kind of seem like you have free range, but you have to stay focused. You have to stay focused and show that you're gonna get the work done.
Yeah. It's an interesting balance that we've had with our school because, of course, we want to prepare our students for the workforce.
Right.
And so, being that they're pretty much everyone's working from home, you got to, from my point of view, we got to start thinking about how to teach that responsibility when you're at home.
Right.
You got to be ready for that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, the world is changing, right? So, and I may be one of the lucky ones, but I'm remote 100% of the time. I don't go into the office at all. I can go into the office. I have a cubicle that I can go to.
Yeah.
But I get less work done in the office now because you go to the office and everybody hasn't seen you in 2 weeks. And what do they want to do? They want to come over and chat. And I've got stuff to do. And yeah, I'll chat with you for a while, but it's like, hey, I gotta get to work. Like I gotta put the headphones in. So I always put up a sign like, hey, I gotta work right now. My headphones are in. I can't talk.
Yeah. No, I think that's important. Stay focused when you're at home because you could probably find Netflix on a screen or go mow the lawn. Those are important things to put on the back burner and stay focused and get your work done.
Yeah, you want to show your job that you can get the work done at home efficiently, so they'll allow you to work from home, which is
amazing. Yeah,
just key. Yeah.
Generally speaking, I'm not asking for specifics like what's your salary, but generally speaking, what salary tips or advice or what expectations should they have around salary?
So coming out of the gate, I think you can look at programming jobs. It depends on what coding language. I think I've also found that too. It depends on what coding language you go into. Yeah. SQL Server is a pretty big one, very popular. They don't pay as much, so you're probably looking at 45 to 70, 80. 70, 80 being you've got a little bit of experience. I think you can come out of the gate with 45 easy. 45K with SQL Server. C# is a little bit higher, a little bit harder language, I think. From a coding standpoint, a lot more things to take into account from my point of view. But I think the pay is actually greater in C#. I like C#, maybe a little bit more than SQL, even though I've done SQL more than 10 years. But C#, they pay. I mean, you can get into 6 figures with C# for sure. Yeah. Easy. Yeah. And I think the other advice I would give is, I think in the old days it was find a job, stick with it, don't leave. Show your commitment to the company, which I think is good. But I've moved around so much, and I think it's allowed me to advance my career and up my pay, if you will.
Yeah.
By moving, and it's probably been like every 2. I was at a job for 5 years. That's the one that was the first programming job that I started out with, and then after that one, it's been pretty much every 2 years I've switched off.
Yeah. I remember, like I knew an HR professional, was a friend of mine, and she taught me that same life lesson a long time ago, that if you stay with the same company, you're lucky to get 3% raises staying with the same company. But if you go from company to company, not only are your skills going to increase because what you learn increases, that makes you more valuable, and then you go get 20 or 40% raises by switching companies. So you stay at the same company, you get your 3%, but if you start hopping companies, you go get 50 or 90% rate, whatever, and so your skills go up, your salaries go up.
You up your skills. The only thing that sucks is you do make you make a lot of relationships at your jobs. At least I do, because I like to talk, and maybe that's my downfall. But you make some really good relationships, and I've made a lot of good relationships with people at my other jobs. And it sucks when you're like, man, I gotta take it. I'm like, they're offering me more money, and it sounds like a good opportunity. So it kind of sucks that you got to leave, but I mean, you got to do what's best for you and your family, and that's ultimately what it came down with.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Those relationships can persist even though the employer is different.
Oh yeah, they still continue. I still talk to quite a few buddies that I've worked with, 4 or 5 different programmers that have been huge mentors to me, and still talk to them quite regularly. So
very cool. Very cool. Well, that was all the questions that I had that were that I wanted to cover, kind of off the cuff here. I would just say, super happy for you, man. Congratulations on your career, your successful career, your successful family. Looks beautiful. I see the pictures.
Yes.
It's kind of fun to see you doing the podcasting thing as a hobby. That's cool.
It's slowing down a little bit. COVID's kind of, well, I think it's ramping up again now, but everybody's getting a lot more busy. We're not all shut in all the time, so we're kind of getting more busy and stuff. But yeah, the other tip that I would say, don't be afraid to take contract jobs either, because I took quite a few contract positions, and man, you can work for some really cool companies. Like I worked for Anheuser-Busch, I worked for Wells Fargo. I mean, a lot of really big name companies, and they'll give you the time of day because they want you to come in, and if you do a good job, they will bring you on permanently. So awesome. It's not a bad gig.
Awesome. So you still pretty active? You still lifting weights and playing hockey and?
Yeah, I had to quit playing hockey. I don't know if I may have told you or not. So I was playing softball and hockey pretty regularly. We were in a Sunday softball league, and I ruptured a disc in my back. Oof. And had to have back surgery. So and that was right before I got married, 2016. So my softball days are over and hockey are over. I'm an old man now, so
understand.
No more sports, but yeah, I still game. I still lift.
Nice.
Get out there and do some running, even though I hate it.
Yeah, I've seen some of your social media posts on running and daily sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst, but sometimes you got to do it back in the lifting. I've been trying to get one of those new Xboxes, but man, they are sold out everywhere.
Yeah, we have a LAN party at Ranken. I don't.
Oh, I know you do. I've never been to it. I've thought about it.
Well, you're always welcome.
I know. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here. Thank you so much for doing this. I know our students appreciate it, and we'll put it out there on the interwebs and Ranken social media, and maybe some potential students can get inspired by it. I do have a question from the class. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are contract jobs?
Would you explain a little bit about contract jobs, like what they are?
Yeah. So you can do it 2 ways, right? So you can either a lot of the ways that you'll do it. Ranken has a pretty good system where when you graduate, they'll send you, and I don't know who handles that anymore, Mr. G, but they'll send you a whole bunch of jobs after you graduate. So it's potential jobs that you can get from certain employers that are looking for entry-level programmers or support techs or analysts or whatever. Do they still do that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you can do it that way. So a contract job is basically, it's not a permanent job. So what they'll say is, hey, I'll give you a contract for, and they'll set the time, 6, 8, 12 months. You'll work there for that long. And then after that, they can either extend your contract, or they basically say your contract's over. You don't have a job anymore. So the downside is, yes, they could say, thanks for your time. We're going to go separate ways. They use it a lot for like tech support and stuff. That's what they'll do with like their data center or their call centers and stuff. So they'll have people just come in for 12 months at a time. I think what they're trying to do is trying to find people that fit and weed out the other ones. So they don't want to bring somebody on and maybe they're terrible and they can't fire them because they have no cause. So they bring on the temporary workers. So it's a temp job or contract position. It's basically not long-term. You sign a contract. But the good thing that I will say is the contract positions can be higher pay because you're not locked in to forever, they can offer you higher wages. So it's actually a nice little bonus.
Great. Good question. Yes, another question.
You have a YouTube page where you just judge movies. Do you have a page like that on YouTube?
What's your YouTube page or what's your social media handles? How can we follow you?
Yes, we are. You can find it on YouTube. It is a Top 5 podcast. And we also have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I think it's just at a Top 5 podcast.
A Top 5 podcast.
Is it on Spotify?
Like, he don't have like a page where he just judge strictly movies. Like,
It's different topics. I believe they pick a
Yeah.
top 5 topic. Yeah.
Top 5 movies, top 5 TV shows, top 5 celebrity crushes, top 5 fast food restaurants. And then we did a spin-off series where we try to eat food. So like top 5 cheeseburgers, top 5 light beers, top 5 colas. I think we did one. So it's basically just trying to figure out what the best ones and then argue about it. And we're pretty stupid too, so there's a lot of banter that goes back and forth. And we play some games on the show too. One's called the Bad People card game. So it's me and 2 of my other buddies, and it's basically we pick a card, and it's like who's the most likely to
Fill in the blank.
crack a beer at a funeral, and then we all vote for whoever it is. That was actually one of the questions. And then whoever has the most points serves a punishment. The last punishment was eating a 2.5 million Scoville hot wing, which I lost and had to do.
And so how long were you at the emergency room for that one?
It was about 45 minutes of pain, man. That was no joke. That was hot.
Awesome. Hey, you're the man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I'm going to
Thanks
hit
for having
stop
me.
recording.